that they have they think they're perennials. They need this reality check to tell them. So they spend their first year making typically a big, thick, fleshy vegetative part. They put it in the bank. It works very well for them. Sock it away. Don't we wish our kids would do this? Get some money in the bank before you get pregnant. But no, our kids are mostly like peppers. If our kids would be a little more like rutabagas, how happy we would all be. But anyway, you have this thing which has a big vegetative thing, and you've got to store that until let's say the winter, Danish winter, Connecticut winter, whatever we're talking about, is over, and good times come again. And that can be a little problematic, much less so than where I am, but we've got to do that. These things all come from countries where, like Denmark and Balkan region and so on, where they have something called winter, but it's relatively mild that they can survive it. Maine, most of these will not survive where I am. I have to create an artificial Danish winter, which I call my cellar, root cellar. A few things, parsnips overwinter in the ground. Well, I think you could probably overwinter in Melville Island, I think they're just totally cold hardy. But most of these other things are not that reliable where I am. So what I do is come fall, I dig up, let's say, the rutabagas. And in my case, I usually may have 20 or 30 varieties of rutabagas. And I'll dig them all up, and I will knock some of the loose dirt. I try not to break the taproot if I can. Much better not to. And I will lop off the foliage, but not the crown. When you buy them in the store with the wax coating and stuff there, they do that so they won't sprout. But we want them to be able to sprout, so leave half an inch or whatever the little stem thing there, okay? But get the foliage. If you leave the foliage on, for one thing, it'll just die and rot, mold anyway. But in the process of doing that, it'll transpire, suck so much that make the rutabaga tend to wither and pulls the goodness out. You want to get rid of it, but leave a little stuff. I'm sorry I talk this way, guys. I do this all the time. When I was little, my grandfather said I was vaccinated with a Victrola needle, if any of you get that. But there's a lot of stuff to say here. We've only got tonight, so I'm all over the place with it. I'll try to be good. But so we get the roots, and then I clean them a little, but not fanatically. And then I'll put them all, each variety, in a big one of those burlap, feed bags or woven, plastic feed bags with a stake. And I put them in my cellar. Okay, now back to my cellar, and this is going to be a big problem for a lot of you. My cellar, I don't have a furnace. The heater is in the cellar. It's a dug dirt cellar. It's not poured concrete. It's just rock walls, and that's perfect. How many of you have? How many of you don't have that? How many of you have a concrete cellar with an oil furnace? And okay, see, quite a few of you. Not a lot of you don't. So that's great. There are several ways of getting around this. One, I've heard. In fact, I did it a couple times. Partition off a corner of the cellar. Make it into a root cellar. Partition it off and insulate it like maybe a 8x6 room or whatever, a large closet, and throw a couple of shovelfuls of sawdust on the floor and a bucket of water on top of that to wet it down real good, and that will usually work pretty well. When we did ours at our neighbor's house before we had a good storage system, he had some steps coming down from the porch from the outside, and it was marginal. It was almost too cold there, but it worked really well. So you need some kind of a system like that. One of the things that I've heard of being done, I've never done it, you can make what's called a clamp. And a clamp works not only for storing seed things, but let's say your food, you're eating carrots and turnips and stuff. If you don't have a good place for storing them through the winter, you can make a clamp. And basically a clamp is made like out in the backyard, on your lawn or whatever. You get some bales of hay, like say 6 bales of hay, and you make the walls with a hollow thing in it. And you put a sheet of plywood or something on top, sheet metal, whatever, on top of it for roof, and a couple more bales on top of that. So you make kind of a cubic igloo, sort of. And you want to keep one of those bales so you can slide it out fairly easily. Well, that's only if you're doing it for food, if you want to be able to get in here during the wintertime. If you're going to leave it all alone till next spring, then you probably could just, the hell with it, like if it can't get in, doesn't matter. And that will work quite well. Certainly here, where your winters are nowhere near. I think even where I am, I could do very well with it. The real problematic thing there is rodents. If you got some way of keeping voles and things from getting in there, either screening or whatever, a bunch of traps in there might work. But that can work. But ideally, it's really worth coming up with. If you want to get into this seriously, try to find some way of finding or adapting your cellar to be a root cellar. It'll help not only with your seed things, but your actual crops that you're going to save to eat.